FOGSI. And then in 1990, he told me, why don't you write a book? So I wrote my first book in 1990 on use of computers in obstetric gynecology. And those of you who must have read that pink colored book, the first page showed the managing committee happening all around a table with computers. I never knew that this day would ever come, but it did come. And that was what my imagination did in that book. So you have to have a very, very good imagination to write what you want. Now, this is my latest non-medical book. It's about a biography, life story of mine, NM at 2 a.m., what a gynecologist faces at 2 a.m. and how my childhood and how I became a doctor and things like that. So thank you for making it a bestseller. Fifth edition is out. Unfortunately, it is in Hindi. The English translation will be out in another 2-3 months. But there is one brief summary in English of the whole book chapter, and it's got a lot of pictures. Maybe you'll find your picture of those who have been associated with me in my life. So let's go and see how we should go about. Now, everyone wants to write. I want to be a writer. That is the question or the statement I get from a lot of people. And how do I get started? Remember, the first thing about publishing a book is to write one. If you don't write, how will you publish? So pick up your pen and start penning your thoughts together. And I thank Dr. Shiva again for giving me a few of his slides on model book writing. The writing is easy. Writing is just your thoughts put into letters and words and sentences. The most difficult aspect for an author is to find the right publisher. Who will publish your book? That is it. So we are swimming on a road to write, and then when we reach the shore, we are looking for a publisher who is going to take pains or who's going to write for you or publish for you. So first thing which we must do is find an editor. Because see, so many of us, we may be experts, but in everything Hindi, English, but you still need a qualified editor or a ghostwriter who understands your personality and converts your thoughts into when you're dictating or when you're rough writing, and then he grammatically corrects the prose. Because grammatic correction is very, very important. In biographies, sometimes it is not needed. You write what it comes. It might be as if you're talking to each other. But in written words, correct prose is very required. So let's see what an author should be. The authorship is an act of creating written works, the act of initiating new ideas or a theory of writing. An author is someone who originates or causes or initiates something. And that's what my friend Dr. Shiva says. He is an Ayurvedic person who writes a lot of books and publish a lot. So he said an author is attitude, understanding, thought provocation, honesty, optimism, and responsibility. That is what the words of an author should be. So you got to be all of these 6 to become a good author. Now, author will take many, many roles. Here are some of my favorite authors who have written non-fiction. Shruti Malvi, Tripti Saran, and Anuj Kumar and all the others. So the author has to be a good reader. He has to be a good observer. He has to be a critical thinker, and he should participate in formation of ideas. And then his reaction to those ideas. And he has to analyze many kinds of text to make his own or her text. So what is the purpose of publishing? Why do you want to publish? Why do you want to write a book? Now you want to write because you want to explain your idea or theory. That is expository writing. That means explaining something. Or you want to report a process or an experiment or a lab or a scientific. And that is scientific writing, writing research papers, review articles, things like that. Or you're doing a project, you want to write a status of that project, update. So that is business writing. Or you want to persuade the writers to understand your point of view and to change their mind to your point of view. That is argumentative writing or persuasive writing. And that is what the readers or the poets or things like that, they all do. Or you want to record and reflect your own experiences and feeling. and that is expressive writing. So we have these types. Now you have to first think of what type of writing you're going to do. You want to express, write your own. You want to do a scientific research, document it properly, and do a clinical study and write it in form of introduction, guidelines, things like that. How papers are written. That will be dealt with or is being dealt. Then you have to find out who is going to read your books. And who do you want to communicate with face-to-face? So supposing I write a book on ultrasound, which I did first, I want to communicate with those gynecologists who want to start ultrasound or who want to do. So my step-by-step ultrasound series came like that, because I wanted to communicate what I know to everyone who would read and make them a little bit of expert or a little bit at least knowledge for that. You want to achieve a connection. So you write fiction when you want to achieve a connection. You write a story. There are lots of people who write blogs and stories. I know Dr. Sunil Jandal of Meerut writes a blog story every Sunday morning, and you hear him narrating those stories. So, and Dr. Anuj also writes blogs and stories, and those are short writings. And that is what you're achieving by that is connecting. But remember, not all of your readers will have the same characteristic. A person will love your work, and some person will hate that same work. So that is what the different is. So because readers are from different parts of the world, regions, community, ethics, ethical groups, discipline, and they might just not like what you have written, or they just might not agree to what you want to convey. So that is okay. That is their problem. You have written what you wanted to write. So how will we generate a topic or an idea? Now, free writing. When you free write, you let one idea lead to another. So you just write, and then the idea develops into. I was walking through a jungle, then a lion came, and the lion roared, and then what the lion did, he jumped at me, I climbed on the tree. So from one thought to another, you're just writing what you feel. Or you have to do a brainstorming. Brainstorm, put the points together, call a few people, discuss with them, and then write. Or you want to map. You map is also called as clustering. Now, visually, you want to map the whole thing which you want to write. So that's. Or you use journalist questions. Who did it? What happened? Where did it occur? So these are the journalist type of writings stories. There was an accident. I was going on the expressway and this car ahead of me was driving very fast, and suddenly a buffalo ran in front and he braked, and that brake did not apply and he hit the buffalo. So that, and when did it happen? It was 2 a.m. in the night. It was very foggy, things like that. And then you have to use some prompts. Sometimes you might find it useful to set for direction, that is prompts. So you note down the points. My first point would be describe this thing. My second point would be this. So that prompts you. Now this chapter is over. So your next chapter would be prompting. So good working is on a book or a thesis is that you narrow down your topic for your idea. You make your point. You state not simply the fact, but an opinion or a summary or a conclusion of your observation. You make a generalization that can be supported by details and facts and examples, or you have a completely fictitious story that is different. And then you stimulate curiosity and interest in the reader. Why do you think that? The reader adds on. So the reader should be always on the toes if it is non-medical writing or fiction. And then, of course, you finally draft and get a title. Be friendly to talk to your friends and discuss what the best title would be. So a working title, a revised title, a working title all over again, and the revised title all over again. And that is how the benefits of Vamana, from Savaska to Kusta, real Panchkarma. This is what Shivakumar tried in his Ayurvedic book, and he came out to it finally with a title. So this is what I called was the mapping, the mind mapping. So how to create a mind map? Your map, let your ideas explode, let them come, thousands of them. Then you note them, tidy them up. Don't focus on perfection. Nobody is perfect. And your mind map shouldn't be either, your brain isn't confined to one page, so you have to break the pages mentally. Don't take sides. Entrance both sides of the brain. Let right side, left side, whatever it is. Be creative, be analytical, use color, group your ideas and thoughts in color. You can use the rainbow. Violet colors for me will be this, the red color would be violence, critical things like that. And share it. Share with your buddies so you get a feedback and you write even much better. So every note of mind mapping is very, very important. Remember, there are 14 tools of good writing, and let's come to that. Fundamentals of good writing. You need a certain amount of nerve to be a writer. Yes, we need nerve. So the first is you have to get inspired. The second is to have an exciting start. The third is that you seek permission if it is required, if you're copying or quoting someone's work. Fourth is you write with confidence, whatever you feel like, just write. Fifth is use simple words. Don't complicate the words like which cannot be read or understood by everyone, just like what Shashi Tharoor does. Don't write like that. Those words are complicated and not everyone understands. Shorten the time frame, create very strong characters, and reduce the number of what you're writing. Write in stanzas, short stanzas. Consider using a third-person narrative. Don't say, I did this. Say you become a third person and do a third-person writing. That is much easier to do a third-person writing. And of course, edit, edit, and edit. As Ernest Hemingway says, write when you're drunk, but edit when you're sober. So when you're drunk, your ideas explode and you can write anything you want. But the editing should be done when you're very, very sober. So there are so many grammatical spelling errors which needs to be corrected. Review section has to be corrected. You realize that when you created the whole manuscript, and then you edit or get it edited by someone, which I showed you in the first slide. 13 is heading. So you give a good heading and a good tagline. And the last is, of course, a publisher. So you have to find a traditional publisher, or you have to, if you don't get one, you self-publish. And we are going to come with that. Do's and don'ts of writing: avoid loaded terms, avoid modifying or changing your claims. One chapter says something, second chapter or absolutely opposite of what you're thinking. Don't do that. Concrete evidence. So you write evidence-based things. Examine your assumptions. Ask your readers. Appeal to the readers. So you can appeal to the readers for rational, that is logistics, logos, ethical, so ethos, and emotional or pathos. So that is how we classify on how to approach it. Establish a common ground. Extreme use of language, and this we have already told you. Clear, everyday use words and small stanzas. If you are in a hurry to bring out a book, you have to self-publish. Now, self-publishing is expensive because you have to buy a certain amount of book or pay for the cost of publishing and printing. And then you have to sell it. Again, it becomes difficult. You use the social media, you can use meetings, you can do launch meetings, but all that needs money or you find a sponsor who will buy your books in bulk and distribute them for you. Or do only an e-version or a soft PDF copy and circulate them on your email. Now, celebrity publisher, if you're going to approach, will take at least a year or maybe two to go through your document and still will not give you a guarantee. So if you want to rediscover yourself, writing in life itself is a voyage to discovery. So you need to write and publish yourself. That is what it is. The deals and negotiation with the publisher, Dr. Tripti Saran says, every time a doctor writes, what comes out is not necessarily a prescription. And every time a doctor writes, which is not a prescription, the publishers may not like it. So a time frame to the publisher, the quality of printing, the free copies he'll give you, the marketing, how he'll market and sell your book, the royalty which you will have to negotiate, and that is peanuts by some publishers. And if you're doing the book for an organization like FOGSI, which we do, no royalty comes to you, no expenses, it's done on all your expenses, but because it goes all over the world, it sells. So here is Tripti Saran, who says we are humans too, and a Delhi doctor shares on what it takes to become one, and she writes about human. And here is our friend, Dr. Anuj Kumar, an orthopedician from Agra, who's written many, many of them. Two of his best books, which I've read, That Erotic Silence and The Shadows of White. The Shadows of White is a recent one which has come, which writes all about how a doctor feels when he's entered into the medical college. It's like Dr. G. It's like, and of course, mine has come out this year, where I take you through from my life and it starts with the horrifying stories and experiences I've had at 2 a.m. With PPH, with my mother expiring, with accidents, things like that. And then it takes you back through it, and then brings you again to the front and dealing with sexuality, dealing with everything possible which a medical student and a medical doctor undergoes on it. So ladies and gentlemen, it's never too late to start to write. You've heard what it is there, so go ahead and start writing. And for writers, a lot of people ask me, how do you manage time? When you're doing so much work, clinical work, how do you manage time for writing? Well, the busiest of person will have the maximum time. So slot your time, make your time slots, and enjoy your life, enjoy your family, and enjoy what comes into your mind. Just dictate it. These are some of my books. There are about 55 which have come out. Now, these are all the medical books. And these have been coming out since 1990, when my first one on computer. Unfortunately, I don't have the cover of that here, but ranging from all possible subjects. And our most popular ones was the step-by-step series, which got translated into Spanish and got translated into Chinese. So they're one of the two bestsellers in China and Spain also. That's the Chinese version you can see, and that's the Spanish version you can see. And of course, with my life partner, who's been the biggest help, and I'm probably a better writer than me, has been helping, and we've been doing these together since a long time. So if people cannot write well, they cannot think well. And if they cannot think well, the others will do the thinking for them, and you will get left behind. So go ahead, write what your life is, your life story. Start by writing that. 2 pages, 1 page a day. And you will find that how interesting your life is once you start writing about it. You think your life is drab, but it is an interesting life. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Surekha, for giving me this opportunity to express some of my views on writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Narendra. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
I believe such an exhaustive discussion how to write a book by Dr. Narendra Malhotra, and covering all the areas, not only the medical science, all the areas of life and whatever is interest he has discussed. And moreover, he has also encouraged younger ones how to write, how to start that one. So this is probably, I don't think nothing more that I could add, whatever Narendra has already said. My feeling is 2 words comes, only thing that wide amount of knowledge on the topic that we need to have before going for this venture, and at the same time converting into the language, the thought process into the language and the printed matters. That's the another area, meaning that he has warned us how to select the words, simple words, not that of the jugglery of wordings, making complex. So these are the essential tips that we should follow. And to talk about my experience, because I am mainly confined to this medical literature and that of the medical science rather. So feeling is the same. I would believe to start with maybe that participation. I would go, Surekha, your 3 P's in a reverse order. For a beginner, we will go for the participation, conferences, presenting, conferences, seeing things, listening things, and then making some presentations, and then going for publications. Publications, again, you see what I started when I was in house surgeon also. I had my presentations before that internship and started publications in Jogi, Journal of Cis Gynecology India, when I was a house surgeon. Then came out with the help of my teachers, you know, Narendra must be knowing that all the good teachers in Calcutta, that N.N. Rai Chaudhary, T.C. Datta, Professor K.M. Gun. At that time, we had good relationship with Agra Medical College, Professor Noel. I have heard their name. So I started there, case presentation. then studies, and then getting it corrected. Your teachers are the best. So they, but there are a guide, Narendra has highlighted that editors. Yes, it is very important. Unless you get a good editor and making things in a simple way of presentation, attracting to the targeted audience, you have to have your targeted audience. So for whom you are writing. Narendra has highlighted that ultrasound was designed for those practitioners to know the tidbits of basics of ultrasonography. So this way it goes. So, and then you go for this writing articles, research study that I did. I have got lots of publication in national and international journal. That's the way probably we develop ourselves and then came to the book. So thank you again, Surekha, having this opportunity to take part in this academic session, enormously helpful for all of us. And I believe there is a huge amount of interest in our country for that of the publications, participations, and research work, being an author. So that's a great idea. I thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir. And we must say that, yes, ma'am, we want to hear from you.
Compliments you, Surekha. This is a wonderful thing. I know she's a very dynamic chairperson, very dynamic FOGSIan, and this is only what is expected from her, to come out with such an innovative idea, which is a sort of a blind spot that we have not looked deeply into, how we can encourage people to do things in a meticulous way, because sometimes it is not just a question of what you want to do. You know you want to do this, but who is going to handhold you as you take up your first task, the most important. And thank you, Nivedita, for the kind introduction that you gave me. It's really a pleasure to see this audience here today, which is a mixture of very senior people as well as our young entrants. And you can see that they are all interested to now look into, either they have already written and they want to see how they can make it better, or they are the ones who want to really start. So it's a nice to see so many people here today. And I really appreciate the talk which Dr. Narendra Malhotra has given, pushing in a lot of aspects right into one, condensing the whole experience very well. I think this is completely true. We've always been hearing about publish or perish in the medical colleges, but now the teaching has expanded beyond the medical colleges, because more and more places are opening up where there are DNB teachers, and everyone is a teacher in any case. I always say every doctor who has his practice is a teacher because he has to teach, but writing is an extension of that step. So yes, I think sometimes writing that first sentence is all important. Getting that first sentence down gets you moving and gets the whole task there. And you know, it's good to, yes, you need a lot of knowledge that you are putting down, but also doing research along the way. Sometimes as we are writing, we ourselves realize our lacunae and where we don't have the appropriate information, and we go out to seek it. And that whole task, you know, uplifts us intellectually in a way that we benefit ourselves even as we benefit our readers. So it is definitely something everyone must do as a routine practice being doctors, because Dr. Malhotra said it very, very nicely. There's something in all our lives which is so important, so unique, and we must. So we're talking about writing a book. It's a little different from writing a paper, but it is something where definitely when you start with some small sort of assignments first. Our FOGSI focuses are great starting points. Our local newsletters are great starting points. And just as you don't start to organize an international conference as the very first thing that you want to organize, so also when you write a book, start with small assignments. You yourselves will receive your feedback, and then you graduate on to writing bigger things and writing books. So I think this whole exercise today is extremely encouraging. The point you bring forward about plagiarism is really, really important. All our MD students are writing their thesis. The DNB students are writing their thesis. And that is a publication in itself, of course. So you have to be very sure, because this is something where if you are caught out, and nowadays it's unlikely because we have so many tools, we will hear about them. But if you are caught out in plagiarism, you can lose your standing in the community and you can be refused, you know, like that person has been refused by the airlines to board the flight. You can be refused publication because you were blacklisted. So luckily we have the tools now to be able to detect them, and AI is coming forward in a very big way to our help. Hopefully not going to consume us. Dr. Malhotra, you might find AI writing the next book. So, so we have to see how we can use these. And thank you, Surekha, for this opportunity today to see and share thoughts and to get a better grip on turning out books that are of international level. Like Dr. Malhotra's books have been translated, gone to so many countries. It's a great example. That is what should ultimately be everyone's target, I think. So thank you for this opportunity to be here today.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much
for sharing your views. Ma'am, I just have one question from all three of you. For beginners like us, whenever we are invited to write a chapter or in a book, we think, why waste time on a chapter? We can better write review articles because that is peer reviewed and they'll get us better proclaim. So are we right in thinking this? Actually, this is beyond the realm of today's webinar. We are talking only about publishing a book, but when we are given opportunity, we always prefer to do review articles in a journal. So are we right in thinking that?
I don't think that review articles get you any better standing than a chapter in a book, you know, because it's not counted like an original research. So I think they have each got their own place, because review article looks very much in depth at one particular aspect. But a book is more, you know, it's more free flowing. It's more for the general topic and idea. And it is more, in general, more for a larger audience, I would say. But I would look forward to Dr. Malhotra's and Dr. Konar's views about it.
So when you write a review article or a chapter, you put it on Google Scholar or something, and then it gets picked up from there. So that will make it more even. So your chapters can all be put on Google Scholar. And once you put it on Google Scholar or the other things where you can share your academic knowledge, they get you as many citations or likes and your thing improves. So writing chapters is equally good as writing review articles. Review articles, you're just reviewing. Chapter brings you, once you write notes, when we take down notes. So it's like, what is written, you're simplifying that in your language or thing. So both are equally important, and just put them on Google search, and then you see everyone.
Yeah, Dr. Konar wants to say something. Yeah.
That's right, Nivedita. What Dr. Narendra has said, both are equally good. But you see, writing an article is a bit simpler. It's an easy job to start with. Okay. Review article, to make a good review of any article published in national and international journal, needs much more of your extensive understanding, knowledge, study, and the awareness. Because these days informations are plenty, plethora of information. At one time we face the difficulty of getting the information. Now then, we need to go through the detail of it, even go to the direct research article to see how far this statement is relevant to what I am going to review with this. So it has got its own place. Both are good. And to my mind, writing an article probably simpler job rather than going for the review.
I think we can take this message that both have its own importance, you know. Sure. Even a review article has its own importance, because we are reviewing the articles in depth and coming out with something. And the chapter, I think it's a simpler version where the book is read by more, wider read. I think the postgraduates, maybe the early clinicians, everybody. So I think both have its own importance. And maybe if the book is indexed, then what Nivedita is talking of, it's a book is indexed, then probably you're going to get the academic points, better points. But I think both have its own importance. And with that, I would like to invite Dr. Madhuri Patel, who has joined here. And Madam, can you share, we would like you to share your views on this very important webinar on publishing and presenting our work. Madam, are you there? I saw Madam joining. If she's there, then we can take her comments. Madam, are you there? Can you see her, Nivedita?
Ma'am, I just saw her join, but I can't find her now.
Yeah, I think she may be having some issues with the... Yeah. So anyways, thank you all the speakers. And we had one small question about, tips on writing medical books. So I think we all got the message that you really need to have the index first in front of you, the content, and probably we have to start from there when we are talking of writing medical books. That is what Dr. Mitra Saxena had asked in the chat box, how to write medical book. I think Dr. Narendra Malhotra has very nicely. Madam Neerja Bhatla, want to add something?
There, that's a very good question you have raised, Mitra. So there is a concept of A level, B level, C level headings that you need, that you have the broad points level there as your A level headings, let us say, in every chapter. Then under that is the subheading. So that becomes your B level heading. So for each section that you have made, there will be a B level headings, which are the subheadings. And sometimes, not necessarily, you may even have a subheading to that further. So for example, if you're talking about a chapter on a disease, then you might have broad headings like etiology, clinical symptoms, diagnosis, and then under that you may further have in diagnosis, for example, one subheading will be your imaging related investigation, one subheading may be your pathology related investigation, and then again you may have the subheadings which may be for imaging, ultrasound thing. So that's a very important thing to do, and I actually tell our students who write their thesis also that first bring me your list of contents and your headings and subheadings. I actually tell them, even when they prepare seminars for their PG, that bring first and foremost, when you come to discuss it with the guide, bring your list of how you are going to break this down and see that that storyline will then flow. And sometimes you realize when you have written it without doing that first, that you actually need to move them a little bit up and down to get them to make sense. So this is a very good question you have asked, Mitra, and this is something which will be helpful if people organize their thoughts up front on what they want to present.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And we move to our next session. I would like to thank the speaker, Dr. Narendra Malhotra, and very, very academic, the chairpersons who have given us great insights, I think, and definitely inspired us to start writing. I think that's what you three people have done.
Yes.
You have inspired us and have put that passionate, the way you are, all three of you. So we also feel that, yes, we can start our own in a small way. So thank you very much. And Dr. Nivedita, we go to the next session, please. Thank you.
Now we have close to 80 participants. And it really speaks volume of the topic selected and the speakers that have agreed to join. So thank you all the participants. Our next session, the speaker for the next session is always vivacious and charming, Charmila ma'am. She'll be talking about what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. You know, many a time, intentionally or not intentionally, we copy others' ideas. And that is plagiarism. It is punishable. Many of us don't even realize. We have many postgraduate years. I don't know if all of them have heard the word plagiarism also. So this is a very good platform for all of them to understand it and what are the tools to avoid it. To this, we have two chairpersons. Can I have the slides? Shobna?
Yes, ma'am.
Our very own Jayam Kanan man. She is one of the most respected senior faculty members of FOGSI. We fondly call her JK, and she has readily agreed to chair the session. So we always, JK is always okay. That is the enthusiasm she has. Ma'am has been our past vice president, and she's presently emeritus professor, Tamil Nadu MGR University, and director of Garbharakshambika Hospital, Chennai. So we welcome you, ma'am, to this August forum.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Alka. Introduce her also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professor Alka Pandey. Madam is professor at Patna Medical College, and she is the Vice President-elect FOGSI 2022. Ma'am is member of Governing Council ICOG, and she is also a national corresponding editor of Jogi. So we have two chairpersons here.
And welcome, Alka Madam has joined from Andaman, and
Yes.
and the clinical research committee comes under the leadership of Dr. Alka Pandey. So I'm thankful, ma'am, both of you. Thankful for you.
Could I request Jayam Kanan ma'am to introduce Dr.
Yes.
Surekha? Sorry,
Dr. Charmila. Put Charmila slide. Thank you, Surekha, Nivedita, and everybody. To come to Charmila, everybody knows her as a charming person and academician, big moderator, everything. You know, she was born vaginally by Clinical Research Committee 10 years ago. Yes, she was born. At that time, ABCD of clinical research is 0. And then she moved herself, and now she has got a diploma in clinical research. And thereafter, of course, now she has entered her teenage, and you know, all teens are very virulent, present day teens. And her virulence will be shown in the lecture she is going to give on plagiarism. Yes, Nivedita said plagiarism is unethical and basic. You know, in USA, plagiarism is still accepted. But in Indian situation, one has to understand, how about the regional languages? If you have a book in English, you translate it into some regional language, word by word, this thing, is it considered as a plagiarism? This is one question which we are not looking at it. But many of us are writing books in all the languages. Even my book has been translated into, I wrote, and that's all about 30 years ago when we did not know anything about plagiarism. I wrote, and my senior staff nurse edited it, and it was given as a book, and it has been translated into Telugu also. Okay, so the plagiarism in Indian journal is also a very important thing. There is only one paper which has come from a Punjab language where the plagiarism has been worked up in the books among the various doctors who have written. One doctor writes a book, the other doctor translates it from some Hindi to Punjabi. The plagiarism has been looked into it. So we have a long way to go in India with all the various languages. And now over to Charmila, the charming Charmila, academic Charmila, and the teenage clinical research person of this clinical research committee for her views on the various plagiarisms, types, this, that, and all how to avoid. To Charmila.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And let me tell you, it was a difficult forceps delivery when I came into clinical research. And she conducted the forceps delivery because I was very reluctant to enter as a committee chairperson. But it was entirely due to madam that I was able to join. And as she said, I've learned so much because of clinical research. And I'm so happy to see a great academician like Surekha taking over the committee now. It's a great honor to have you there. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I would like to thank the respected chairpersons for chairing the session. And of course, dear Nivedita. So what is it's actually, when you want to pronounce this word, it is plagiarism. So that's how you pronounce plagiarism. And when you want to define plagiarism, it's the act of presenting another's works or ideas as your own. As the previous chairpersons, Dr. Neerja, Dr. Konar, as well as the speaker, Dr. Narendra sir said, you cannot present another's works or ideas as your own. And if you do it unintentionally also, it becomes plagiarism. So that's why you need to know what this means and how you need to avoid it in your when you're doing your writing or your researching and all the works which you do. And actually it comes from the Latin word plagiaris, which means a kidnapper. But you want to actually define this term, it is the copying of ideas. You copy somebody's ideas, you copy somebody's text, take data from their work. That is the creative work which another person has done, like tables, figures, and graphs. You've taken it. And when you present it as original research without proper citation, that is, you do not mention the names when you're writing from their work, it becomes plagiarism. according to the World Association of Medical Editors, it's got a very strict definition. It becomes plagiarism when 6 consecutive words are copied, and when there's a 7 to 11 words are overlapping set of 30 letters, it becomes plagiarism. And why is it so important and why people care about it? You have to remember it's a theft of intellectual property. It's an academic misconduct. It's a research misconduct. It's cheating. It may result in receiving a failing grade or 0 for the assignment, as Dr. Neerja said. It can result in a disciplinary referral, and students caught plagiarizing may be denied admittance to or removal from the National Honor Society. You have to remember it's so important. And what are the demands which it makes on the academic communities? There's a rupture in the personal pedagogical relationship between a mentor and the student. There's a challenge on the supervisory gatekeeping responsibility which is there. There's a breach of everyday normality. There's an ambivalence when you want to explain plagiarism to a youngster, and there's a strain of performing the act of accusation. And that is quite painful to both the student as well as to the mentor. And the factors which are responsible for plagiarism is, when you look into it, it is actually the lack of writing skills, as Dr. Narendra sir said. You need to learn how to write well. And when you start somewhere, as Dr. Neerja said, you will get into the habit of doing good work. And it's also because of improper time management. Youngsters, students who are more bothered about their practical experience and forgetting that they need to submit a thesis for passing out, suddenly find at the end of the tenure that they need to write it very fast. And that may be the reason that they go for plagiarism. And the easiness of copying, which is there now because of the availability of material in the internet. It's so easily available and accessible. And people start copying and pasting when they get the material on the internet, thinking that nobody else will notice. And you have to remember that there's a significant direct association between the students' lack of control and research misconduct. When you take the types of plagiarism as Turnitin, the software gives us, there are so many terms. It can be cloning when you submit another's work word by word as if it's your own. Control-C in your computers. And when you do that, you're going to copy a significant portions of the text from a single source, even without any alterations. You find keywords and phrases and then replace them with something else, but you retain the essential content of the source and you don't cite that source, but then it becomes plagiarism. There's a remixing where paraphrases from multiple sources are taken and they're stitched together, fit together. Recycling where you borrow generously from a writer's previous work and you do not cite it. Hybrid is where you combine perfectly cited sources with passages which are not cited. Mashup when you mix copied material from multiple sources. Error is when you include citations to non-existent or inaccurate information. It's not even there, but you would have put it in your work. Aggregator when you include proper citation to sources, but the paper contains almost no original work. Retweeting where you include proper citation, but you rely too closely on the text original wording and the structure, and you do it as if it's your own. But when you want to simplify the types of plagiarism for a youngster, it will be when you paraphrase a source too closely. That is, you take a phrase and you think you're changing the way it is modulated and written, and you say, and you don't cite that source, it becomes a paraphrasing type of plagiarism. When you include a direct quote from a study without quotation marks, when you copy elements of different sources and pasting them into a new document, and when you leave out an in-text citation, even though you have reference, but if you leave out an in-text citation, it becomes plagiarism. And sometimes the gravest error of all, gravest mistake of all, you submit a full text that is not your own at all. So what are the strategies to avoid plagiarism in your research and writing? Always follow the rules of properly citing references. You acknowledge the ideas taken at conferences and even at formal, informal discussions, which is healthy academic conduct. Your references should contain the full bibliographic information. Do not leave out half the information. And each source which you have cited in the text must be also listed in the bibliography. Quotation marks should be used if more than 6 consecutive words are copied in your text. And suppose you're taking material from other studies, you should have permission from the other authors or publishers to reproduce copyright protected graphics or text. And remember that plagiarism can be detected electronically by so much of software which is available even free of cost now. And remember, when you're copying from somebody's text, word by word copying of the work by others will be clearly identified. And suppose you're copying short segments, remember to put it in quotes or italicize it so that people know that it's from another person and it's not your own. And suppose you're copying longer segments like a paragraph, that should be also indented or italicized. Italicize is the way you write it in a slanting manner. Quotation is within quotation marks, you put the segment which you have copied. This you should remember to avoid plagiarism. And when you're going to copy, the quoted work also should be followed by citation in the text itself, which may be even a URL, which is actually a universe resource locator. And this need not apply to casual phrases you're using in your content. Like suppose you write, this paper makes the following contributions, that need not be quoted because it's not the content of the other paper. But please remember, extensive copying of the work of others is generally not allowed in any scientific forum. When there's an extensive word by word copying of your own work, suppose you have published your work earlier and you want to use it in a new paper, now you need to obtain the permission from the holder of the copyright, and which will be not the author. It will be usually the publisher or the editor. And suppose you're copying an entire section from your previous paper, which has been co-authored by at least one other co-author there. When you are copying it in your paper, in the new paper, it should contain words to the effect like, this section is taken from section XX of Roberts and Smith, 1994, where both Roberts and Smith would have been co-authors of the submitted paper. So you have to mention it in your text that this is a copied section from the previous paper. And the article can also include an opening footnote when you're writing in your article, which is new and you're copying from a previous version. And here you should mention an earlier version of this article was presented at such a conference or at such a date, and you have to reference to the original article or paper in the list of references. So you have to mention the original article in the list of references when you're copying even your own work. And the sections on which had appeared earlier as originally appeared should be mentioned in your text. And this article paper adds research. This is the way you mention when you're copying even your own work. You cannot do it without mentioning the older article, and you have to mention your references, the older article also. And how do you avoid these types of plagiarism, which are quite common? Global plagiarism is where the plagiarism has happened in the entire text. Remember, as Dr. Narendra said, write your own essays, do not copy. And suppose it's a verbatim plagiarism, when you copy words directly, you have to quote the original source by putting the copied text in quotation marks. And you should also include an in-text citation when you're copying the text and putting it in quotation marks. Do not leave out the in-text citation when you're copying from a source. Suppose you're rephrasing ideas which has happened in another article. Here also you should cite your sources just as you would when you're quoting. So the in-text citation should be there, and it should be also mention your references. And there's something called patchwork plagiarism, where they stitch together different sources. Here also, if you cite your sources, whenever you quote or paraphrase, you will avoid plagiarism. And when the self-plagiarism, when you're plagiarizing your own work in previous papers, please get a permission from the owner of the publisher, whoever owns the copyright for that previous paper. And this I wanted to mention because paraphrasing plagiarism is one of the commonest type of plagiarism. And when you put a piece of text which has happened in another paper into the text which you are writing, it becomes paraphrasing. And when you do it without citation and an in-text citation or a reference, it becomes plagiarism. Actually, it's a legitimate way to incorporate ideas of others into your writing. We cannot write a new article always. There will be something in literature always. So that's actually a legitimate way, but please remember to put it in quotation marks or cite it at that point of time so that people know that it's not your original work and you're citing from somebody else's work. And when you rewrite, say, without a citation, it becomes like a total plagiarism. And to avoid this, please cite your sources just as you do when you're quoting. Remember, there are many softwares now to find out plagiarism. And a study was done by Ali et al. In 2018 to find out the effectiveness of these software. But this study revealed that there's actually no software that can prove that a document has been 100% plagiarized, because each software and tool has its own merits and limitations according to the features and performance. So many may not detect, but when it detects, it's actually a black mark on your paper. These are the softwares which are available. I think Dr. Noel will be talking about it later. Turnitin, Authenticate, Urkind, Anti-Plagiarism, Dupli Checker, Paper Rater, Viper, Plagium, Track, and Plag Scan are quite available. But when plagiarism is happening, there are something which the responsibility is there with the seniors also. The stakeholders also need to do something to avoid plagiarism. And the department has a responsibility for that. Editors of journals have a responsibility. Libraries have a responsibility. And even websites of educational institutions have a responsibility to inform students and young researchers that plagiarism is something wrong and they should be taught about it even when they enter the academic forum. So what is the responsibility of the department? The department rules should be framed to make students conscious that involving in plagiarism activities is a crime. A disciplinary action should be taken, which will act as a deterrent to avoid plagiarism. So a policy has to be there in the department to tell students that it's a crime. And when it happens, a disciplinary action should be taken. And remember that when there's an interactive lecturing with students, it will actually reduce plagiarism. Workshops and booklets will have an impact on academic integrity development when it's done with the purpose of avoiding plagiarism. What about the editors? They can be encouraged to use proactively the software to detect plagiarism so that it's detected at an earlier stage. And they can provide the anti-plagiarism tools in an open access domain so that it's accessible to many people. And they should be doing it through web links when they're announcing even the call for papers. So people are aware that plagiarism should not be there. And when it's there, it will be detected when the papers are being put in for publishing. What is the role of the libraries for students regarding plagiarism? Libraries should take up to educate students about the different referencing styles which are available. And they should familiarize the students about the reference management tools, the use and benefits of each one of them. And they should promote the use of anti-plagiarism tools in evaluating research work before submitting the assignments or projects. And students should be informed that research works or assignments should be accompanied with the originality report generated by the anti-plagiarism software so that they can go on for a proper method of academic work. And frequent workshops should be done by libraries for the students to create an awareness about plagiarism. What about the proactive role of libraries for the faculty? Libraries should organize training programs for the faculty also so that they get updated with the knowledge regarding plagiarism. And a plagiarism detection software must be used to avoid plagiarism. And when it's done, further studies should be conducted in the library, and that should include the reasons why plagiarism is happening, and the strategies to deal with that should be done by the library and the academic part of the university, so that you don't have problems, because the same thing is happening again and again. That does not reflect right on the university or the publisher. So they have to actually do a study by themselves to find why it's happening, and they have to find out the strategies to deal with it. And Authenticate emphasizes that the library should inform the research scholars that the repercussions of plagiarism will be on their personal front, professional path, ethical and legal levels. There will be repercussions when plagiarism happens. And the use of websites for information should be utilized by the universities. There should be a well-written guide on the website regarding plagiarism tools. It should provide a very clear definition of plagiarism, the institution's policy of when plagiarism happens, and when academic misconduct happens, the way the university will be dealing with that should be mentioned in the website. And they can be elaborated with examples regarding what is plagiarism and what not is plagiarism. The punishments actually many when you have entered into plagiarism in your studies or research papers. It can include public disclosure. It can result in a loss of research funding. There will be a loss of professional stature. There will be a termination of employment, and there can be even legal action taken against individuals who commit plagiarism. Regarding the UGC policy on plagiarism, when the similarity in articles, theses, and projects is less than 10%, there's actually no penalty. But it becomes level 1 plagiarism according to UGC when it's about 10% up to 40%. Level 2 is 40 to 60% of the similarity in articles. Level 3 is when it's above 60%. So all that will carry a penalty if it's not taken care of. And UGC has declared a zero tolerance policy towards core areas of research. And they have said in the policy that academic misconduct panels should be constituted by all the higher educational institutions to investigate the cases on plagiarism. And they need to submit the report to the Plagiarism Disciplinary Authority, the PDA. And they've said that core areas of research should not contain any plagiarist work. And suppose it's found, then the PDA of the HAI should impose the maximum penalty so that it acts as a deterrent to the other people who want to follow into this method. The challenges in avoiding plagiarism for students is actually the understanding when to cite and the information synthesis. And they do not actually understand about formatting citations and references, and all this should be taken care of seniors when they are mentoring the juniors for research. So the recommendations will be the concept of plagiarism and other related notions must be very clear to both researchers and academicians. There needs to be an organization of seminar and workshops, and I hope Dr. Surekha Tade takes up this for FOGSI members also. And this should be supported by eminent fellows. And always remember to quote every thought included in the article, put it into quotation marks so that people know that it's been taken from somewhere. And remember to treat the citations with utmost care. And there's a role of a reference manager, which is needed in your research so that it is very significant in rendering the correct citations for you. And remember that the use of anti-plagiarism software in examining the article resolves several issues. There's actually a prevention strategy just put up in 2017 for researchers. Actually, researchers should be sensitized on the proper citing of resources and the intellectual property law. Universities should have a policy on plagiarism. It should be established and awareness must be created among all the students, scholars, and staff. At the national level, the preventive strategy will be all the scientific institutions, universities, maybe public or private, should have a center for surveillance. We should have security, promotion, and development of ethical research and publication. At the international level, the level of the preventive strategy should be a database should be created for all the cases of plagiarism which has happened, and they should be launched with the disclosure of all the names of the blacklisted plagiarists, the affiliated institutions and journals, so that people are aware about what is happening in the rest of the world. The famous examples of plagiarism, even in 2016, Melania Trump was actually accused of plagiarism when she plagiarized a speech of Michelle Obama in the Republican National Convention. Even Martin Luther King Jr., George Harrison, they were all accused of plagiarism, of their plagiarized speeches. George Harrison actually has plagiarized a song. There's a famous scientific plagiarism example, that is the case of Alex Haley. He was a writer and a Pulitzer Prize winner. He's best known for his book's Roots. It was actually turned into a famous miniserie, but he was accused of taking parts of the book of a text from the book African by Harold Konar, and he has used them in Roots. He was sued in 1978, and he eventually admitted that he had plagiarized the information. So it can happen with famous people also, but the downfall is quite bad. So the key messages will be the main factors for this plagiarism is the lack of awareness of writing skills among students, which seems to be primary. But the other vital factor is the advancement in information communication technology. It's made lots of materials being easily available and accessible in the internet. The most common types are the copy and paste and self-plagiarism, which is quite common now. And to prevent it, always acknowledge a source. Please remember to acknowledge a person who's written the original article. And the text or thought that you have put in your work must be highlighted in quotation marks when you're writing an article. And for extensive quotations, you will need to obtain permission from the publisher of the original work, and avoid self-plagiarism even if it's your own research work, because you need to take the permission from the publisher of the previous article authored by you. And when you're using published drawings or illustrations, obtain permission always. Utilize a software for anti-plagiarism, and which will provide you an originality report, which will further provide an opportunity for you to improvise your work. And stakeholders, the department, the academic forum should always adopt a zero tolerance policy against any such kind of plagiarism activities. And the golden rule of plagiarism is give credit where credit is due. The idea is not your own. You must cite the source from where the information is found. Otherwise, you will be at risk of plagiarizing. And this is how you write your in-text citations. That is when you're putting it under quotation marks, write the author and the year of publication along with the page number where it's available. But in the reference list, the entire material should be there. All the details of that article which you have sourced should be put in the reference list. Thank you so much, Dr. Surekha and the Clinical Research Committee.
We would like Dr. Alka Pandey to speak first, if you may have. Yeah. So we.
Happy to Surekha for me and it's a very important to be. I wanted to say it is mostly lack of awareness. When we were postgraduate students, we did not know what plagiarism was, and we used to copy because we were not aware that it is something wrong. Now we know it, and to every line which has been taken from any place should be acknowledged that this has been taken from such and such article, and the author was so and so person, so that the credit goes to him. Thank you, Charmila. I'm in bus, so I won't be able to talk more.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for joining. Ma'am is in Andaman, so the network is not so good, but thank you, ma'am. And we will have Dr. Jayam Kanan ma'am.
Yes. Charmila has delivered without much of plagiarism. And I think Surekha have put up a couple of questions for the beginner's sake. See, there is a definition of preterm labor. You have to put the same words which has been given in the same WHO or FIGO or anything. Those words will be
put it in quotations.
Criteria. How to avoid that to be considered as plagiarism. That's the first one. The second one is the same way in conclusion also. The same, they say preterm labor, early preterm labor, the fetal mortality will be high, the maternal morbidity will be high. So that also would have been quoted in many papers. So how to make the students understand how to avoid this as plagiarism?
Madam, when you write it,
I have got two more. See, you said in the text, in the last this thing, you write the name of the author, year and page. Is it not this numbering is enough? 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, reference number. And in the reference, seeing that, is that not enough? Many of the research you are finding, see, if you have got a 6-page article, you will see 160 references. Reference number 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that not enough? For the students' sake, I am asking all these questions. Please answer this.
When you are writing a definition from another, like a text or from a guideline or whatever, you will put it on quotation marks. You have to put it. And at the end of it, you will have to mention from where you have taken that definition. And you have to mention the year and the paper there. And you will also number that. And you will write in the reference list, you will put the entire everything. There's a particular referencing style which every publisher will ask for. Suppose it's Vancouver, you will do it in that format. Yes. Full you have to do. And you cannot leave out the in-text citation, which is what I kept on emphasizing. You have to put it in quotation marks, write your in-text citation also, and then you mention the number of that reference, and then you put it in your reference list. That is one thing.
I wanted that Vancouver word from you.
Vancouver or APA, there are different formats which each journal uses.
APA
is there.
Yes.
Harvard style, Vancouver style, and APA style. These are the three most commonly used.
We always put the tables, you know. The tables are always the same. Age, this thing, that, and all. The table also will come as a plagiarism. How to take it up?
So when you're putting a table, and you have to mention there that it was taken from the source, you have to mention there. And suppose you're taking lots of tables from another paper, you have to get the permission, the copyright goes off. So you have to get the permission from the publisher of the previous article where you have taken out the data. And it's for images also. We are finding out in FOGSI focuses, many take images from textbooks and they do not obtain the permission at all. That is a copyright issue. So we tell them you either take off those pictures or you draw something, but we do not accept images from and other papers without a copyright permission taken from the previous publisher. Madam, your last question was what, madam?
Paper presentation and poster presentation, can they have plagiarism?
Any written material is accountable to plagiarism, madam. You cannot copy another person's ideas without giving credit.
Something for a free paper, should they go and request permission? Is it little allowed?
Madam, free paper is their own. They are supposed to present their work. So in that, if you want to have a definition, you can take from one source, because there's actually a fair use which is there in copyright issues where there are certain things they allow actually. But it cannot be like you cannot take the globally everything and write as a free paper. It's not a free paper then. That means it's you have not done anything by yourself. You're taking somebody else's material and saying that's your own. That's total academic misconduct. That is not allowed in research.
Thank you.
Madam, your last question was what, madam?
Last question is, in the conclusions, many of the time, I told you about the conclusions which you are writing. Maybe there in another paper also.
Wherever you take a text or a word.
No, conclusion is mine. But it would have been there in other. Can we reframe the words and avoid?
I think Dr. Joseph will be talking about you can paraphrase, you can rephrase it.
That is the only area where paraphrasing is mostly important.
Madam, most of the times you have to rephrase, otherwise you cannot write articles actually, but you have to do it in a very ethical manner. You cite your source and rephrase it. And people think just by rephrasing, they're not doing plagiarism, but you're taking the idea of the previous person. So when you that also, even if you paraphrase, you rephrase whatever has been written earlier, that also you have to cite it. So that gives a good feeling for the person who has written that earlier paper. So they've done work.
So to the students, we say, you have first studied the subject, you have collected the references, close all those things, start writing your own paper, right? WHO defines, start like that. And then from my work, I have done this. Then see that paper, then correlate it with your references.
Yes.
Will that be the correct message which we can give for plagiarism?
Dr. Charmila.
Accepted, Charmila?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
was one question. Yes, ma'am. Alka ma'am.
Yeah.
There was one question from one of the participants before this webinar started.
Okay.
That when we are writing articles, we are taking some things from some material from one paper and we are citing it. Then we are taking another material from another paper, we are citing it. So basically we are citing all the material, no? So it should not be plagiarism. Why do you say it is plagiarism? I have copied sentence to sentence, I have cited it. If I change it, then it is not the original. How can I say that it is original? What do you say about this?
See, you take out only one or two definitions and it will not cause a big problem. You cannot do the entire paper based on somebody else, right? And just because you quote, it doesn't mean it's right also. You have to read about it, learn what's happened, and then form your own thoughts. Otherwise, the person would have read the older paper. Why do they want to read your paper? It doesn't make any sense at all. So you can't put your entire paper into quotations. That is totally wrong. Then you have to obtain the permission from the publisher and say that you're taking out the entire information from the previous paper and you're doing it. Otherwise, it's not accepted. And you cannot put all your wording into quotations and say, I cited, so it's okay. It's not okay.
It's not okay.
There should be a limit to what ethics will allow, because you can't do that without the permission of the earlier author or the publisher.
So it is only 15% or less, or even in our institute, less than 10% plagiarism. It was acceptable. That means similarity to another article, less than 10% it should be. So this, I think, even if you are citing it, you have to paraphrase it. Yes. And the converse is also true. Even if you paraphrase, you have to cite. So citing is very important and paraphrasing is equally important. That is what Dr. Noel is going to tell us in our next session. Thank you very much, Dr. Charmila. Nivedita, you want to say something?
After listening to Malhotra, sir, we were totally infused to write. But after listening to you, ma'am, I think everybody is there on gunpoint. So I think Dr. Noel will clarify that for us. And we continue to have this information.
Many times there are book chapters which are having 70–80% plagiarism.
Yes.
With no referencing. The citation is very poor. Okay, so you have to cite from where you have picked up the work. Even if it may not be a journal article, it may be a book, it may be an internet site, wherever you have taken that material, you have to cite. Many of the journals will also ask DOI. Where is the DOI? If I click on that DOI, that article has to open, and that particular thing which your idea you have taken should be in that article. So that DOI also many of the journals are asking for. You should be knowing about DOI. In our next webinar, we'll tell you what is DOI, so that you are able to actually know how the referencing is done and what is citation and what are the various different ways which we can cite. Like you said, Vancouver style, Harvard style, APA style. What are these sites? So we will be talking in our next webinar. So thank you very much, Dr. Charmila. Thank you, Jen Kanan ma'am. Thank you, Alka Pandey ma'am, for joining from Andaman. An absolutely wonderful talk.
Can I say a word, Surekha? One word. When we ask like FOGSI members when they're writing for writing an article to reference, they get upset. And it's so difficult to explain to them. I think these webinars should be conducted more, Surekha, for FOGSIans more, so that they understand that there's something called a right way of writing.
Points well taken.
Because it's so difficult to explain it. Thank you so much.
We'll be doing a webinar on citation and referencing so that our FOGSI members understand, because see, these things were not taught to us in the medical school, so we cannot blame them. Those who are in the medical institutes, they know what is referencing. They know how to, there is some tools called cite when you write, like EndNote, like Medley, like Zotero. So these we teach Zotero and all. As soon as the resident enters into our department, the first thing we teach them is Zotero. But we, as a resident, our generation never knew what is EndNote and what are the citing tools. We had to actually write. We used to go in the library, search that reference, and then used to, manually reference everything. Now everything has changed. There are tools. So we cannot blame them. Let us take it positively. Yes, we need to train them more, and we need to teach them about referencing also. That is a task on hand, which we will definitely do. And thank you very much, Charmila. Thank you, Jayam ma'am. Thank you, Alka Pandey ma'am. And we go, and we are eagerly waiting for the next session where we are going to be on-site demonstration of how to, do the, anti-plagiarism tool. Will be demonstrated. Dr. Nivedita.
I'm Dr. Shobana. To continue with the academic speech on the third session, I would like to invite the chairperson, Dr. J.B. Sharma sir, who is currently a professor in AIIMS, New Delhi, who is an ex-professor, Maulana Azad Medical College. And he has awarded Dr. B.C. Roy Award by the Honorable President of India in 2015. He has various publications and is the author of textbook of obstetrics and midwifery and gynecological nursing. He has edited 2 books and he has won the ICMR Amrit Modi Unicamp Prize for his research work on anemia during pregnancy. Welcome you, sir. Next will be our Dr. Neema Acharya, who is a professor and head Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Varda, and she has more than 20 years of experience in UG and PG teaching. She is a recipient of Korean Research Award 2013 FOGSI, past president of DCOHS Varda, and he is editor of book on FOGSI and FOGSIans in CBME curriculum. She has more than 200 research publications. We welcome you, ma'am. I request Dr. J.B. Sharma sir to invite our third speaker, Dr. Noel sir. Sir, J.B. Sharma sir.
Neema ma'am, please go ahead.
Hello, can I have the slide of speaker, please?
It is there on the...
Yeah. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
And also, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity, and feel honored to be, co-chairing it with Sir J.B. Sharma, sir. So wonderful webinar, ma'am. Congratulations. So we have Dr. Noel Maria Joseph, who is going to actually demonstrate us about how to, go about it. So he has done his MBBS from JIPMER in 2004, MD Microbiology from JIPMER again, and he is additional professor at JIPMER. He has 13 years of academic and research experience and has undertaken research in TB and antimicrobial resistance. He has more than almost 100 publications, and his areas of interests are prevention of plagiarism and TB diagnostics, biomarkers of TB. And he is the recipient of Best Paper Award during 2nd National Conference of Infectious Disease Society of India at Hyderabad 2008, and presently I think member of Operational Research Committee. And we welcome you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening for one and all. I'll start with my session. Let me first share my slides. Thank you for the nice introduction. No.
Hello.
Yeah, just a minute.
Sureka.
President has joined.
Yes. So we will have Sir's blessings. Sir has joined. Thank you, sir.
I've just come. You know, I'm in Andaman. I had gone to yesterday to Havelock. That is Swadeep Island. What is it called now? So and now we have just come back to Havelock. I mean to Port Blair. So just going for a CME and then prize distribution as usual. Mitra, hi. So, and
excellent, excellent webinar is going on.
Great.
Excellent idea.
Then
Congratulations to you, sir.
Tomorrow, we have some activity, jail and all. We are seeing there where Veer Savarkar was, incarcerated and all that. So, and then tomorrow evening back to the chaos. So, thank you very much. I, just reached in time, just rushed to the hotel room and got the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi is not available in Andaman. Only Jio runs in Andaman. V doesn't run in Andaman, neither does Airtel run in Andaman, the Wi-Fi. Anyway, but I'm very happy so that you're doing all these plagiarism things and all, teaching them how to write the books, etc., etc. So that's very important. All of you are there present. I can see many people who are there. And, I don't want to take much time, but I just wanted to touch you. So remember that on Republic Day, at 9 o'clock, we are going to have the flag hoisting all over India. And then I'm going to launch in the evening the philosophy of gender equality. Okay, so the Samanta is my second part of the Badlao inspiration. So Badla has got 3 parts. First is called Ekikaran. Second is Samanta, equality between men and women, equality between the rich and poor, equality between the caste, religion, everything. So the philosophy of Samanta will be launched on the Republic Day by having gender equality. So Maninder is smiling. She's getting, it's an inspiration, isn't it, Maninder, to have gender equality. So we'll launch the gender equality philosophy on the Republic Day and in the evening. So we are going to all have a 9 o'clock flag hoisting in all over the country. And then we are all going to meet in the afternoon to celebrate the Republic Day and celebrate the new philosophy of gender equality called Samanta. Okay. So thank you very much, Sureka, and all of you here. I'm really happy that you are doing this academic activity. So that's what FOGSI is all about. FOGSI is all about, a movement. It is the way you think and exist in your life. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all. All the best, Sureka.
Thank you. And I must acknowledge the whole idea about this webinar has come from Rishikesh sir, because he is the one who has been promoting more than 30 odd books. This year, FOGSI is going to come out with. And the first thing that Dr. Pai said that we have to bring down the plagiarism and let's educate everybody.
And we don't want, Sureka, we don't want headache of telling them that there is plagiarism. So we need to teach them how to prevent plagiarism. So exactly. Say hi to my better half.
Yes. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, ma'am.
Very nice to see you both. And thank you very much for joining this webinar and your blessings. And always you both are inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best to all of you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We go ahead, Dr. Noel, with your demonstration, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me start with the session. We already heard about the importance of plagiarism and what are the consequences of it. And I would just like to briefly introduce about this regulation. Actually, later people can refer to this. There's a UGC regulations on promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism, which has been published in 2018. It gives some of the information the previous speaker also highlighted, that the percentages and what are the actions to be taken. If it is a student, what is action, or if it is a faculty who is there, what is action to be taken. All those are given in detail. Since it's not in the scope of today's talk, I am not going to do that. But please, you can feel free to refer to this document later. So now directly going on to the different plagiarism detection tools which are available. First, let me start with the free softwares that are available for checking plagiarism. Actually, I don't want to spend much time on this, but actually there are just some of these have been listed by the previous speaker as well. There are many softwares, like one of them is a duplicate checker, which has a limitation of words. By 1,000 words you can check, and you can check your documents by loading a document or a text. You can upload it. You can sign up for a free account. You can check it. Similarly, there is some tool called Plagiarism that also allows you to check. It's also a free software to look for plagiarism in your text. And similarly, there is other tool like plagiarism checker. All this can either you can only, it doesn't allow you to load a file and a document, but you can copy paste and then you can check for the plagiarism. So the reason why I spend much less time on these free softwares is like, see, they all have the algorithm to detect the plagiarism. But the thing is, they are limited by their database against which they are comparing. So that is what will determine how effective is your tool in detecting the plagiarism. Quite often, these free softwares are limited in their searching capability to only the articles and literature which is available in the open domain. They do not have access to the paid journals and articles which are there in that. So obviously, they will not be able to check against those paid journals. So that is why that's what limits their capability of detecting plagiarism to a large extent. So in that concern only, we need to go for one of the commercial softwares which are there. And let me start with a more broader software, that is Grammarly. Basically, this is not a primary plagiarism detection software. This is, as the name suggests, it's for language and the corrections in grammar and the spellings and the style that you write. That's all good software for that. This also, since it's a webinar on publication, I thought let's make aware of the users about this software as well. So this also, it's very good for you to write in good English and when you write a publication. So that helps. But in addition, it also has an option for checking the plagiarism, which is part of the software. But there again, it has its limitation. Like I said, it again does a complete job of checking all the articles. Maybe it again checks with the articles which are available or the literature which is available in the public domain or in the open domain. So this is how the software interface looks like. Actually, it's basically from the browser. You can go for app.grammarly.com. Once you have there are free accounts, or you can have a premier paid account. So once you log in, you can upload by clicking the link here, and you can check for the actually the moment you click that upload, the report will come. And this is how the report looks like. But primarily, like I said, it's meant for grammar and the structure and the style that you write. So those corrections will be suggested here. And after that, actually, if you see at the bottom corner here, there is something called plagiarism. Actually, once you click that, this will show the percentage, how much percentage of plagiarism is there and what are the texts. Say for instance, this one which is highlighted in green, it's a copied text. See, I understand this is a definition. You can see it's a definition, but only thing is the author whoever has written this have not failed to put it within double quotes. Have they put it within double quotes and cited that reference at the end like they have done? Then it may not be accounted for plagiarism. Actually, there are ways to this tool doesn't have that option, but maybe the other softwares do have an option to exclude quotes from plagiarism. So you can easily exclude that. So this is just one instance. You can see how the software shows the percentage and each text which is copied. Once you click on it, it will show from which reference it has been copied and what has been copied. So this is how Grammarly shows you. So next, moving on to the other two softwares which are most commonly used. They are primarily meant for plagiarism detection. And I think the other speaker also mentioned about it, Urkun. Actually, that's the old name of the software. It has been renamed as Original. And it has been recently taken over by Turnitin. Okay, which is the person, which is a vendor which supplies the Authenticate as well. So this software, actually, it's been purchased by the government of India. Actually, it's circulated to all the UGC approved institutes with the user accounts for all the faculty as well as students. So this has been, this is a software which is available. I'm sure most of your institutes must be having access to this through the, you can reach out to the InflibNet Center and then ask for your access. They are providing it free of cost because it's already purchased by the government, and it's basically the government is keen on controlling the plagiarism, and so to empower all the universities to detect it, this software has been rolled out. This software, if you look at it, actually it primarily has different options. Like I said, each user can have an account, and this particular software has different types of accounts. Like one is a receiver account, one is a submitter account. Like for instance, your students can be your submitters. So they will get a submitter account. They can submit to the portal. And the receiver will be the faculty or whoever is looking at their supervisor. So they will open it and they will see the percentage, and then they can share the report with the submitter. So this gives more power to the receiver or the faculty to first see it, because we don't want our, sometimes the students, what they do know in the time hurry and other things, they will check it. And if they find something, they will, they might remove that part alone from the file submitted for plagiarism check, and subsequently when they submit the thesis, they will include it. So those kind of things will happen. So this gives an option that the submitter account is different, receiver account is different. That option is there here. And the faculty by himself or herself also can upload the documents. This is how the portal looks like. You can go for the original.com and log in. If you type, even in Google, if you type this, it will show you the link. And there are two links you can see. One is the admin account, one is the individual web inbox. So the admin account is primarily for the admin of your institute. It's not for all the faculty. Basically, there will be, each institute will have one particular faculty or a committee who will be looking after that admin account. Maybe this admin account is primarily meant for creating individual user accounts for the faculty as well as their students. So those persons will be looking after it. I'm not going to details of it, but so let's focus on the individual account which the faculty or a student might be using it. So this is how you can log in from here. Once you log in, this is how the portal looks like, and you can see at the corner, top left corner, you can see a plus symbol. So this is what you will press, and there will be an option to select your document, and then you can upload it. So once you upload it, it will show, you can see there are various percentages, different documents have been uploaded, and there is a various percentages which is shown. And many of the speakers also already referred, some institutes have a cutoff of 15, or some others have a stringent cutoff of 10%. So like that, it can be seen here. So once you want to see the report, you have to put a tick here and then click open report. The moment you click the open report, this kind of display comes. Basically, this is just a pictorial representation. Each number represents one page. For instance, this is page number 2. In page number 2, it's just showing there are 2 instances where there is some plagiarism. The orange lines indicate plagiarism. So this page has page number 9, for instance, has the least plagiarism. Only the small line is there, but rest of it. So this is how it just gives you an overview. But then to know the details further, we could click this link, view the entire document. Once you click it, show you this kind of thing. You have to scroll down. It's not a web page here, but I'm just put a screenshot. So it shows the entire document like this. See, you can see this particular paragraph, which is in orange, light orange, that has been copied from some source. This similarly, this stretch has been copied. This is a uncopied text. So that's how the document shows you, highlights which part of the text has been copied. And you can see a downward arrow here. That is a link which you will click, which is useful to save this file as a PDF. The moment you click it, you will download a PDF, and you will get a PDF like this. And this PDF will show, you can see this particular paragraph, everything has been copied. Similarly, this also has been copied. This has been copied. But only maybe this part is written by the candidate, by the candidate itself. Okay. And towards the end of the document report also, you will see it shows a side-by-side comparison. So this is a text which is available in the, which the student has written. And this is a text which is already published in this source, that Medline Plus. So you can see the similarity. You can see for compare for yourself how the text has been copied. So this software clearly gives a side-by-side comparison of what text has been copied and where it is there. The source also is highlighted here. So this is very easy for faculty or the guide, or when we write it, we know which part of the text has been copied. Okay. So that is in brief about Urkund or original. And as I mentioned, this has been recently procured by Turnitin, but despite that, the report that they generate is not in line with or as good as Authenticate. Okay, I'll come to that comparison a little later also. So now we'll look at the Authenticate software. Actually, this is one of the best softwares, which in fact, most of the publishers and the journals, they use this. In fact, some of the journals do ask when we submit the files as authors, they will ask you, please run a check in the Authenticate and submit as a similarity report. Only on the submission of that, we'll consider it for publications. So that is the value of this software. This is a very reliable software, and which has a very standing in the community for considered as a good software for publishing. Actually, this Authenticate is a software by Turnitin. Turnitin is a broader software. It also can be used as such, but Authenticate is a version which is more user-friendly, which can be used as well. And best thing is, rather than going for an individual purchase of the software, best would be to recommend your particular institute to purchase it for as an institute access, and give individual access to the faculty. So that is what will be most helpful for as a use of this software. Okay, and this software almost looks like your mail inbox. You can see how the interface looks like. These are the various documents which have been submitted, and it shows the percentages. And you can see some of them are highlighted in blue, some of them in gray. Basically, that depends on the cutoff that you set. There is an option in the settings to set above which percentage I want it to be highlighted as blue. So if you set it, that it will show that as a in blue. So this is one particular similarity report which I am showing here. You can see all the text in colored. See, these black texts are the text which have been written by the particular author. But the other text which in blue, sometimes it will be red or green. All those texts which are colored and which has a number by the side means this particular text has been copied. And this is a reference from which it has been copied. This number is not the reference number which the student has quoted in the particular article. This is a reference number which is cited here, detected by the software. And some of them, previous speakers also mentioned about self-plagiarism. See, we are not allowed to do self-plagiarism, even though it's our own publication, because it becomes a property of the journal. We are not entitled to use the same text without a proper permission in your second article. But you will find some situation wherein, especially the institutes where they have a PhD. So what happens is, as a part of the PhD work, they are supposed to publish prior to their FOGSI and prior to submitting the thesis. And when they submit the thesis for plagiarism check, sometimes their own article will be cited as a plagiarism. See, you can see this is the name of the person, and you can see this is the name which is highlighted here. So it's showing that. But actually, it's see, it's not, unlike the previous scenario which I said, publishing a first article and using that content for a second article, that is not allowed. But including your own article content into your thesis compilation. Actually, most of the journals do accept authors to permit the authors to include their content into their thesis compilation. So that can be considered. So this software, you can see that, which is a reference. And at the end, there is you can see a cross, as you can see here. If you click that X mark, this particular reference will be removed. And whatever has been copied from that reference will be removed from the software. So it will not add that to the total percentage. And okay. And there are other options which I will show in the video towards the end. You can exclude the quotes. This is the option. Actually, you can see here, there is an option called exclude quotes. When you are using definitions and you are included within the double quotes, if you click that part of the thing, even though originally was highlighted in a different color, but then once you exclude that quotes, it will go and it will not add to the total percentage of plagiarism. Similarly, there is an option for exclude bibliography as well. And similarly, small sources and other things. And word count. As one of the speakers mentioned also, we can different societies or guidelines say different cutoff. Some say up to 7 to 11. 11 is acceptable. You can have a stretch of small phrase up to 11 words, but beyond that, it is considered as plagiarism. So, and UGC, the guidelines which is followed in India, that says up to 14 is permissible. Consecutive words, 14 words can be similar, but beyond that, it's not permissible. So there at this end, there is an option for you to select the words which is permissible. So you can either put 11 or 14, whichever is your institute guidelines. You can put it, and then you can exclude that. So that will bring down the overall similarity percentage as well. Okay, and this is how once you apply all this, excluding the self quotes for PhD thesis and exclude quotes, bibliography, and limit word count. Sometimes this will look like this. It might, though initially you could see many blue text were there. Actual plagiarism will be like this, and the percentage will be seen at the top right corner. I'm not able to see because of the videos and other things in this one, but at the top right corner you can see the percentage. So now, as I said, most people use either Grammarly or Original or Urkund or Authenticate for the plagiarism checking. This is just, I have, for out of curiosity, I have uploaded the same document in the 3 softwares. And you can see Authenticate gave a similarity index of 51%. Original or Urkund gave a similarity percentage of 23%. And Grammarly again gave 23%. So you can see the strength of Authenticate is, it has access to even the paid journals. They give pay subscription for the journals, and that's why their cost of Authenticate is considerably higher compared to the other softwares, because they pay to get access to the paid journals as well. And when we are looking for a complete screening of plagiarism, we need to go for this kind of software, which is more robust and which doesn't stop with only open access journals, but it also checks the paid journals. Okay. So with this brief session, I would like to share a few videos on how the software works. Okay. You can see I'm going to demonstrate about the Authenticate software. So you can type authenticate.com and you can log in from here. And if your institute has an access, you will have a username, password. You can log in through that. And at the right, you can see upload. This option, you have to click that option upload, which will allow you to upload a document. You can choose the file, choose the file, and upload a document. Here I'm uploading this particular document. You can upload it either as a PDF or a doc file. What I would suggest is it's always better to upload as a document file rather than a PDF, because sometimes when it's a PDF file, the searching or comparison with other articles may not happen, because some PDFs, some segment of it may not be properly read. So it's always better to use a document or a Word file. So once you upload it, usually takes, though it checks against millions of articles available, but it takes a couple of minutes, maybe within less than 2-3 minutes, you will get the report. You can see here now it is showing as processing. Soon you will see the percentage. You can see in the meantime, below different articles of different submissions which have a different similarity index. So this particular one, our result is it has come to 55%, as you can see there. You can open it and see. As I mentioned here, whatever is in colored means that has been copied. And this particular author has, or a student who has written this, has not included the definitions also inside the quotes. So when as a committee, when we screen for that, it becomes very difficult for us to exclude the quotes. It's because the committee will receive thousands of, at least hundreds of theses for plagiarism check. And unless the student follows these guidelines and includes some definitions in quotes, it's difficult. And you can see most of the stretch, whatever is there in color text or copied. The entire text has been copied, and this particular text in brown, this has been copied from this particular reference 4. And once you click that, it will open, in fact, open the source from which it has been taken. You can see for yourself which part of the text has been copied as well by opening the text. I'll go back to the portal again, and I'll see that text. I'll just key in the keywords to show you that this has been really copied from the source. Let me go to the part where that brown text, which was, yeah. So here you can see that normally 1 or more eggs are released during a woman's cycle. So this sentence I will use as a keyword. I'll see, I have noted down this. So I'm going to key in this keyword into the source which is copied. So with which it's matching. So I've gone here and I put Control F and I am searching for this particular text. So the moment I type, it shows. As you can see, it's very evident. This particular text has been copied by the student from this particular source. And it has been copied verbatim. It has not been put in with double quotes. And even if it is cited with the numbers, it is not permissible. You are not supposed to use the exact words unless it's a definition or a classification or something like that. Even in that case, you are supposed to use it within quotes. So this will account for plagiarism. And if they, for this definition, as I said, if there's an option to exclude quotes, if the student has included within quotes, we can exclude quote, it will change. But in this case, it is not changing because the student has not included within the quotes. And there's an option similarly to exclude bibliography as well. Sometimes what I mean by bibliography is a reference list at the end. That will also actually add to the similarity percentage. So that also can be excluded. That anyway, I'll show in a separate video as well. And there are other options like excluding small sources and excluding small phrases. Okay. So what I mean by small sources is, as you can see, actually you can see there are various sources here. One is, this is 251 words are there, 167 words are there. So if you think you have to exclude small sources, like for instance, this is this particular source, from this particular source, the student has copied only 45 words. Say, for instance, you want to exclude those small sources, you can mention that particular word count, 45 you can mention, and you can update it. The software will exclude that particular, those sources with having a 45 or less number of words which are matching with the text, and it will give a modified percentage. As you can observe from the corner, earlier it was 55%, now it is 40%. But mostly we don't use this option, but this is a feature in the software. But what we rather use is, because even if it is a small source, actually it's not permissible to copy. So this is just a feature I'm demonstrating. It's not that you will always use this, but rather the other feature, the last one, excluding phrases. There is always a minimal margin given. Either it's 11 words, up to 11 words can be permissible. Small phrase of 11 words can be permitted to be copied, or UGC mentions up to 14 words consecutive can be copied, can be permitted. So we can limit the matches by up to 14 words or 11 words, whichever is your university guidelines. You can exclude that. And then that also you can see the percentage from 55, now it has come to 51%. But still, there is a considerable amount of plagiarism in this particular document. As you can see, it's very evident and it's very same. At the end, you can click the document, print icon, and then it will save the report as a as a PDF file. And you can share it with the student and ask the particular student to modify the content, include the definition within quotes, and those kind of instructions you can give to the student. And then you can ask the student to resubmit it. And then you can, when the student resubmits, you can look at the particular sites where the particular part of the text where it was earlier plagiarized. You can see if the plagiarism has been corrected or not. Whether the candidate student has written it in her own words. Okay. Now, just let me quickly show you the two features which I told you about excluding quotes and bibliography. So again, I'm logging into the site here. So I'm going to upload a document, test file, which I have created with quotes because the original document didn't have the quotes. So I have made a separate document with quotes and a bibliography list. So I'm going to upload that. Sorry, I think again the same slide is opening, I think. Just a minute.
Dr. Noel, if you can go ahead with the paraphrasing, I think.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Because some of the people are not aware even of authenticate.
Okay, I'll go to the paraphrasing video. I know that is, I already discussed about the excluding quotes and other things there. I'll go with the paraphrasing part.
Meanwhile, 2-minute break, we can have something from Dr. Madhuri Patel, ma'am, who has joined. and she can give us the blessings till you find your video.
Thank you, Dr. Surekha. Can you hear me, Dr. Surekha?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sorry, I was there in the cruise and this was not catching, internet. So now I come to the room. We all are here for the conference in Andaman. We are going to start our program now. So good evening to everybody. I missed Dr. Narendra's and Dr. Charmila's lecture, but I'm hearing Dr. Noel since 15 minutes and he's excellent. And Noel has given the idea. We are doing research. After research, presentation, and after that publication is very, very important. In journal also, our Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology of India, we give we have started a PICSEC program since 2009, and that is also going on well. Then in journal also, in ICOG, that Indian College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Lakshmi has also started, because why we have started so many courses, and with Surekha doing a clinical research committee, it is very important for the students as well as the consultant when they publish the paper and what is required and what is not required. And Dr. Noel is telling us, don't do the plagiarism. That is very, very important. He explained about the self-plagiarism also you cannot do, but you can modify. Then he explained about the quotes. When you write somebody, cite somebody, it is very important to put quotes. So now there are software, he is showing us the software available where you can immediately find the plagiarism. And we in a journal, we are getting many plagiarism cases, and sometimes, with this plagiarism, we can't do more, action against them, but we have to withdraw the paper. So this is happening. And that's why whenever you are publishing paper, because it is very important for your promotion, even your appointment with the different hospital and the teaching hospital as well as other hospital. In our India, still the publication has not taken place so well. But I know abroad, even they are doing MBBS, the medical course, they have already papers. And our resident starts, we keep on asking them, we keep on guiding them, then our residence paper, they come. So it is very important for your future, appointment, then in your future, promotion, it is very, very important. And some of the university have said, if you don't have publication 2 in a year, then you are not promoted as an associate professor or a professor. And therefore, I will tell all my students and all the consultants that this is part of our, clinical practice is not only one thing, but even publication is very important. And then only we can show our data, because what we are lacking in India is the publication. And the other Western countries, they have lots of publication. They can talk about their publication. And we need now the publication to show the data to the world that what we are doing. So Surekha, I'm really, very happy that you have started your first program. I was late, but I'm really happy that I could join. And I'm wishing you best luck along with Dr. Alka ji and Dr. Rishikesh Pai, that you should do very well. And I wish you best for your future endeavor. So thank you very much for inviting me for this, program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Noel, I just summarized that you have talked about various tools to detect plagiarism, and now you'd like to have from you how to, take care of that plagiarism. So some tools are there for paraphrasing also. So Dr. Noel will be demonstrating us. Thank you very much, Dr. Madhuri, ma'am.
So the tool that we are going to see for paraphrasing is Quillbot. It's quite easy and user-friendly to do that. I'm going to restrict my discussion about this particular tool. Actually, you can see here, you can Google for Quillbot and you can go to the site. The moment you go, actually there is an option. I see it's also a paid version, also upgrade to premium is also there. But for most users, a simple free use version should be there. Only limit is it has a word limit of up to 280 words or something. So so you won't be able to upload your entire document. See, there is an option for clicking upload document. But if you are a free user, you will not be able to submit your entire document. And even if you submit your entire document, it will screen only for the first 280 words. So that will be the limitation, but you can do it in whichever paragraphs have been highlighted as copied by this one, or those things you can modify, or you can start by doing it even when you're writing in small paragraphs, you can paraphrase it. Say, for instance, I am copying this particular text from, see, actually, if you see, this is a result of a particular study. See, as a student will be comparing other studies, and they would like to copy highlight the findings of a particular study, and they will be citing it. But even when they are doing so, they are not entitled to copy the entire text like that and put it. The information should be the same, but it should be in different words. So that's where the importance of paraphrasing comes. So I have copied this particular text, and I have clicking this key. The moment I click, it paraphrases the text, and it does a pretty decent job. It gives us same information in a different text format. Most of the text is there. You can review it, and you maybe some minor tweeting here and there. You can minor modifications can be done as per your comfortability. But in this case, I'm just copying this text here into a new Word file to show that the text which was originally copied will no longer be shown as copied by the plagiarism software as well. So I have copied this to first paragraph I copied. Now I'm copying the second paragraph, and I'm trying to paraphrase that. So this paragraph also I have copied from another article. I have not done it. I have not typed this. I have just copied, and I'm paraphrasing it using the software. And basically this will happen when you're referring to the other findings. So when you have to copy, but you are not permitted, so you have to paraphrase it. So when you paraphrase it, I'm paraphrasing it, and I'm copying it to a separate Word file here. And I will show how I will check it. So for you to believe that this paraphrasing really helps. Because sometimes what students, when they do manually, when they do paraphrasing, they'll just change some words in between. But when you screen it with the plagiarism detection software, it will again show, except for those one or two words which they changed, the rest of it will be highlighted in a color. It will show as a plagiarism. So I'm just going to show you. I have created a modified document with the paraphrased file, and I'm going to compare it with the original source, this particular article from which I have taken. So I'm going to compare it to see if it is matching with that particular article. So I'm using the same authenticate software here for comparison. I think that here there is a doc-to-doc comparison at the right side. So that is where you can click and you can see. Sorry, did it go to the end? Sorry, I think I clicked it in between. Sorry. So I have uploaded the document here. After uploading, now it's showing 27%. Please don't be surprised it is showing 27% now. We have to see what it is. Sometimes because that's why we don't have to look at the percentage. See, actually you can see only where small phrases are colored in red. But since the word count is less, it is apparently showing it is high. This actually you can, like I said, you can exclude small phrases up to now I'm first trying by 10 words. I'm seeing the percentage whether it is kind of coming decent. But like I said, most UGC recommends up to 14 words, small phrases can be permitted. So I'm going to key in 14 words and I'm going to update and see. And once I update it, you can see this document is showing no plagiarism. Actually, this is a paraphrased text. I have not typed this sentence. I have just copied it, paraphrased it, and incorporated into the manuscript which I prepared. But you can see the software also tells clearly there is no plagiarism. So this shows you effectively how you can screen your or paraphrase your text for prior to submission. Thank you. That is in brief about my talk. If there are any queries, I'll be free to answer.
Yeah, Dr. Neema Acharya is there. She would like to say something, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Noel. It was a wonderful presentation. And you've demonstrated it very well that, you know, how we can avoid the overall, detect first of all, and later on how we can paraphrase it and how it can reduce plagiarism. We all know that plagiarism is, you know, it gives a very bad impression on the publisher as well as on the institute when the plagiarized, you know, articles are sent to a particular publisher. So there is no shortcut to any, you know, publication which you want to create or any thesis, right? The students are writing. First of all, I think they should be very honest when they are selecting anything from anywhere. when they put it in the ROL, that is review of literature, or whether they are discussing it in their discussion part, whether it is publication or whether it is their theses. So they have to have a thorough knowledge, and if there is no shortcut, so what people do is they just copy paste the things and they just paraphrase it, and then they try to reduce the plagiarism. We are a huge university of where me and Surekha Dadi madam are working together. So we have a huge university where there is a big research and research cell. So we all are oriented to all these things as academicians, because we all are working with almost 45 PGs in our department. So we all are aware of it. But as a FOGSI member, I think all of us should be very much aware of all these UGC guidelines, and how a publisher can always ban you if your first submission itself is showing a plagiarism of more than 15%. There are certain publishers who literally ban the author, and they are not going to entertain their next submission. So we have to be very careful about plagiarism, and instead of just thinking about paraphrasing it, it really helps. It's no doubt that it is going to help you, but the more involved you are in your topic, more reading and more putting your mind into it and trying to put it in your own words definitely avoids most of the time plagiarism. The problem comes when you are discussing it with the other evidence. So that time little bit of paraphrasing is required, and the students, today's generation students, should understand reference management system. They should understand we use Zotero here in our institute. We teach them Zotero. Then we must understand how to check plagiarism before we submit it to any publishing, or before we submit it to even our thesis students. When they submit, we have to have a plagiarism check. Before that, without that, they are not able to submit it. So me and madam know it very well, how strict and stringent the law is, or the rules are in our university. So there is no shortcut for anything in life, and for such evidence which we are generating, it's our responsibility that there should not be any plagiarism, because ultimately we want India to move ahead of other countries or come at par to generate evidence. And if the evidence itself is fake, it's not going to make any sense. So all this plagiarism which comes many a times, student may just take it doesn't happen, but they might just take all the tables also somewhere. So you have to be very careful about what your students are doing, what your what you are submitting to this thing. And in the bargain, at times you might be banned overall by many publishers. You have those blacklisted authors. So we have to be very careful when we are submitting anything on a international platform or any good journal. If you're submitting, they're just going to ban you. So I think this was a wonderful topic taken by FOGSI, and as a clinical research committee chairperson, it was a wonderful webinar which ma'am has organized. Surekha ma'am, thank you so much. And I think the more FOGSI gets oriented to these things, it's going to be beneficial, and it's a very serious matter. People have been banned. We know, both of us know how people are banned overnight. They have the same journal, they have 5 publications, and suddenly the next submission you do and plagiarism is found more than 20%, and they have banned. So they are not going to give you a second chance, right? So it's always you have to be careful and be with the trend and understand what is Turnitin, what is Zotero, how to paraphrase it. So it's the need of the hour. So if we are planning to write many books with FOGSI and many publications, if we are going to generate, we all should be aware of what all these things are, and we should be well versed with it. So most of you are, I think, into practice. We are more into academics. So those who are into practice, I would, clinical practice more, I would suggest at least spend few hours on a weekend to, get well versed with these things, because we don't have choice, and we feel proud today that we know so much because of, by default, being in academics. So I think sir must be feeling the same thing, because he's also, I think, in academics. So it helps a lot. And thank you once again for giving us opportunity, and wonderful webinar, ma'am. Congratulations again.
Thank you. And Dr. Neema has summarized it so well. I mean, putting it in such a way that it is really our responsibility itself. So somebody had asked, should we first self-check our plagiarism? Yes, definitely. We have to self-check our document first before submitting, because in many journals, the less than 50, if you are above 15% also, they are not going to allow a second chance to you. So very important. Second thing I would like to tell the students, even the students who have joined, only paraphrasing is not going to help. Sometimes what happens, whatever they are paraphrasing, you should read it. See to it, does it make sense? Sometimes, what happens, the words are sometimes very difficult to understand. So you paraphrase with the tool and you read it again, and maybe you have to write it in your own words. Many a times, the scene of somebody singing. Let me find out. Yeah, so can you just mute yourself, please? Just a few minutes left for the webinar. Just a few things. Yes, paraphrasing tool is there. Quillbot is there. The free one is there, which will allow 180 words at one time. You can purchase the premium version, which can, paraphrase your whole document, but don't rely on Quillbot also. Let me tell you that Quillbot sometimes, doesn't make sense also. You have to read through the whole document. You have to, write in, simpler words, but they will provide you some synonyms. The paraphrasing tool will help you make it simple. So all those FOGSIans who have joined here, see, academics, people will know what is authenticate, what is Turnitin. For some of the people, this may sound like some jargon from where these words have come from. So maybe this is their first encounter for these words. So let them Google, go and find out what is authenticate, what is, dupli-checker. And these are the softwares, Turnitin. So some are free, some you have to pay. So our institute is providing the paid version to our students so that they can self-check. Each of these students they have that password for that software. They can put their document and find out how much plagiarism is there. And of course, Quillbot is available as free for, some part phrases. You can, as you write your document, you can paraphrase and you can, go on paraphrasing. And of course, even if you paraphrase, you have to cite. That is what Dr. Charmila said. Only paraphrasing is not done. You have to still cite. You have to self-reference the document. And if it is verbatim, you have to put in the double inverted comma, that we say quotations. So all those things are very, very important. And even a simple webinar like this is not going to, actually make you expert, but this is sensitization. For those who really don't know about it, now you are sensitized that something called plagiarism. There is some tools. So you should go back and you should try to, whatever demonstration has been done by Dr. Noel, you can go and do it yourself. You'll take some time to learn. Students are very quick to learn. If I see my own students, they very quickly will know where is the plagiarism and all. But maybe for the older generation, it will take a little time. But let me tell you, the chapters which we are submitting to the books, there also you have to look for plagiarism, how much plagiarism is there, how to reduce it, and very nicely referencing all these things. Some of the things we'll take up in the next few webinars which will be coming, and we'll try to sensitize all of us together. We can learn and we can go ahead. So thank you very much, Dr. Noel. This was beautiful, the way you have shown the videos. It was definitely one of the best kind of. So Dr. Mitra, you want to say something?
At the outset, it was fantastic. Just like you said, for many of us, it's a very, very good sensitization. So my heartfelt congratulations to you, to Nivedita, all your team, and all the wonderful input from everybody. Now, my question is that whenever you're writing a book, there is a section called glossary. Right. How's that composed? Because you have opened a whole area for questions. So how do they, when you are writing a book, how is that decided? How do you decide the keywords? How do you decide the glossary? Can you please highlight that?
Yeah, I think that's again a huge thing you have opened up. Glossary of words.
Pandora's box.
Pandora's box.
You asked for it.
Box. So glossary again is what are the terms you have used? You have to explain those terms. If there are new terms, what are the terminologies you have used? So when you start writing your book itself, when you have chapters in it, then some new terminologies or some common terminologies also you will have to pick up. New you have to explain, but common ones also which come repeatedly in your document, those also will come in your glossary section, and you'll have to, some abbreviation section is also there. But glossary, I must tell you, it's once you have the whole book in front of you, then definitely when you have gone chapter by chapter, you will know what are the glossary terms, and that those have to come alphabetically in your book, and you have to explain those terms. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions? I don't find more questions. Keywords. I think it was...
yeah, Surekha.
Keywords. Yeah.
Keywords are actually one you have to search for an article. So when you write down those keywords are there, so then your article will come in the search. When the people are searching for that type of article, so your article automatically comes in the search for that.
Yeah. So suppose you are writing something on COVID-19 and pregnancy. So you will have to write some keywords. So if you write COVID-19 as your keyword, then probably it will come in the searches, and more people will read your article, and more people may cite your article also. So if more people cite your articles, then the citations come to your credit. So you're having 400 citations, you're having 500 citations, means not only the people are reading your article, but they are also citing it. They are in their own work. They are using your work in their own work, and they are citing it. That is called as citations, and that's a huge credit to a scholar if you get more citations. So to get more readability, to get more citations, you need to have good keywords. Good keywords which are usually searched by people in the various search media, like a PubMed. If they type in PubMed, they will find, okay, that keyword has to be there in your article, and that also has to be very nicely selected. Yeah. So
thank you, Surekha. That was a wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful webinar. I think we should have I think
one suggestion is, Dr. Surekha, that you should, because you are the chairperson of the FOGSI, so you belong to all the FOGSIans. Many of them may not be the members of ICOG, they may not have done. So you're taking it step by step, I should say, hand-holding and educating all those who have missed the bus regarding writing paper, then reviewing articles, I think, and with example. So, fantastic.
Yeah, and next webinars, I will also be taking on, presentations, how to make a poster, are there some templates, how to make, when you make a 6-minute presentation, 8 minutes presentation of your work, how to do that, how to, these are step by step I will be taking in future webinars. Because see, as a clinical research committee chairperson, I can do webinars which are complicated, but I want that the FOGSIans who are, ordinary, I mustn't say each and everybody is doing very good in their own field, but many may not be in academics, but they still want to, they're having such a lot of clinical data. They should be presenting to the world. They should be publishing their work, even if it's a case series or a single case. But many people are afraid how to go ahead, how to write a paper, how to write a case presentation. People may not know. So these simple things only I will first be taking. Madam Neerja ma'am, if you want to say something.
I just wanted to say once again that this was really very practical and your very good idea. And they are taking it serially forward into how to even conduct the research, what are the important aspects. And, many times nowadays we find the case studies are not so well accepted. Journals are more concerned about their, impact factors and all that. So, where to seek which type of journal is suitable and how to make it appropriate. So all these things gradually, if you are doing stepwise, it will be a huge step forward for the FOGSIans.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. And with that, I think we can come to an end to this webinar. And I must thank so many people from my department have joined, all the professors, Dr. Kamlesh Chaudhary, Dr. Sandhya Pazai, Dr.
Sureka, very well done. Congratulations, darling.
Thank you.
For this beautiful, for this beautiful program. I think it's an example. Please continue.
Yeah, all the chairpersons have also joined.
Ma'am, excellent, wonderful. Thank you so much. Learned a lot and looking forward to the next session.
Yeah, and I must take the name of Dr. Deepthi Srivastav. These are all my professors who have joined, and all the postgraduates, and I think from Nivedita's college also, so many professors have joined.
Professors.
Yeah. So, and all the chairpersons have joined, Dr. Maninder, and so many people are there. I'm really overwhelmed by the response. Though, you know, sometimes it feels that if you're talking about research, people may not join, but yes, and they have stayed throughout the webinar. So I'm thankful to each one of you. And thanks to ICOG for giving 3 credit points to this webinar. So thank you to Dr. Lakshmi Srikhande and Dr. Ashok Kumar sir. And thank you, Dr. Rishikesh Pai and Dr. Madhuri Patel. And over to you, Dr. Shobna, for your vote of thanks.
Can I just say one more thing before you all give vote of thanks? You know, somebody said that it is not enough to practice evidence-based medicine. We must contribute to generating that evidence also. And we are such a big body of so many intelligent people with such a wealth of experience, and doing this type of thing systematically, I think we can change the world.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. And let's take this forward. Really, we have so many experts that we can be the leaders, we can create our guidelines. So we should be doing it well, actually. You know, that's important. So with that, I think we can come to an end. And definitely, I would like to thank Dr. Nivedita here and Dr. Shobna from Clinical Research Committee, who have done a great job creating the flyer. Also, they have done by their no plagiarism in that. Okay, so self-created flyers also. Thank you very much, both of you. And thank you, FOGSI, for providing the link. And thank you everybody for making, you know, even I was listening, you know, spellbound to each and every speaker and each and every chairperson. You know, I was all ears. Okay, I should not miss something which they are saying. It was so important. Things have been, you know, shared by each and everybody. Dr. Shobna, last words from you.
Yes, we must never forget the importance of gratitude. Knowledge alone is not the power, and sharing of our knowledge is when our knowledge becomes powerful. And here is true. And on behalf of the Clinical Research Committee, under the dynamic chairperson, Dr. Sureka Tairivam, I want to thank all the stalwarts who shared their knowledge in our first webinar of Clinical Research Committee on 3 P's: publish, present, and participate. And as Narendra Malhotra sir added, 4th P as perish. And I thank our president, Dr. Rishikesh Pai, Dr. Madhuri Patel, our Secretary General, and Dr. Alka Pandey, our Vice President, who joined away from the Andaman. And it's an immense pleasure to thank all our speakers, Dr. Narendra Malhotra sir, and Dr. Charmila ma'am, Dr. Noel sir, who gave us the extensive knowledge on how to write and disclosing all the doubts we had, and clearly guiding how to write correctly. Like anybody can write, but how to write correctly is the thing. How we can, you know, this learning of it will drive us to learn more, to write more, and it will become, you know, a passion to share our knowledge to everyone, and it will be a continuous sharing. And I thank all our chairpersons, Dr. Neerja Bhatla, Dr. Hiralal Konar, Dr. Alka Pandey, Dr. Jayam, Kanan, Dr. Neema, Acharya, who shared their views, and all the participants. We had around 80 participants so far. We have I told the 3 points, so kindly share the mail ID. And last but not the least, our dynamic and most dynamic chairperson, Dr. Sureka ma'am, who got the idea of bringing the webinar on this topic on 3 P's: publish, present, and participate. And we will take the things forward. Yes, this is the episode 1, and we'll be continuing with delivering all the knowledge and bringing all the juniors like us to write more and more. And I end this webinar by thanking our Almighty, who showers His blessing. Without Him, we wouldn't have done a great show, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, and have a great dinner and spend time with your families. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.